Welcome to All Nature Connected, a podcast created by the Forest Bathing Institute, where we explore all nature connected topics, including nature and health, nature inspired lifestyle, nature connection and forest bathing, nature preservation, and eco awareness. We hope that this podcast will inspire you to become more connected with nature and your own health and well-being. Hello everyone, this is Olga from the Forest Bathing Institute, and today with Elisabetta, we'll be talking about forest bathing in parks. So Elisabetta, hello, lovely to see you again on our podcast.
Hello.
Elisabetta is our team member and a forest bathing guide, and she trained with us, was it a couple of years ago, Elisabetta?
Yes, I started in 2021. Yes.
Yes.
Um,
2021. Oh, wow, that's a long time ago.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I qualified about a year ago.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
18
Yes.
months was more or less 18 months training.
That's
Thank
lovely. Yeah, no, it's always a journey that would say takes different time for different people, and always honoring your time, your journey, your pace is what is important. So Elisabetta, I know that you have been running quite a few sessions in London, and you live in London. And I'm really excited to talk to you about your experience forest bathing in a city setting, especially a city as busy as London. So can you tell us a little bit more about where you are currently running your sessions in a city, and what do these environments generally look like?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Olga. I run my sessions in Hampstead Heath. I do a session once a month, and we started doing Epping Forest together with the institute. And I'm also involved in Kew Gardens as well. And I've run some sessions in my local park. I've done a few over my case studies, and I've done one a few months ago. So yes, they are a mixture of wood, all of them. They're a mix of woodland and open space, meadows. They have some ponds or little streams and lake. So there's a good variety of nature, and there's also wildlife, and lots of wildlife in all of them. The difference is that you have the view often of buildings, or you have noise, and you have lots of people and lots of dogs. So, but they're all very beautiful and full of fantastic colors as well, because some of them also have gardens.
It's very interesting, and I feel that this is something maybe people are becoming more excited about, forest bathing and forest bathing in cities, because we have, for instance, RHS Chelsea Flower Show coming up, where there will be a forest bathing garden. And by the way, if you are there on the 21st, we will also be there. So lovely to see you. But it's the concept of forest bathing, which doesn't necessarily have to be in an ancient woodland in the countryside, but how to actually bring it back home. Many of us still live in cities. I actually ran a bit of statistics and saw that after COVID now, and the papers also maybe you have read, show that people started going back to cities, because during the COVID, many people moved to the countryside, but now it looks like everyone's going back.
Yes.
But of course, we still want to benefit from forest bathing and spending time in nature and in natural environments, especially if you are in a city. And some of the benefits of forest bathing, they can be transferred to when you are in parks or when you are in gardens. So there is a lot of benefit from it, potentially. So if you can tell us, Elisabetta, what is your experience running sessions in city parks, and in what is that experience in comparison to running sessions in wilder environments?
Yes, I think also, first of all, the people that come in the cities and the people that come when I run sessions in Burnham Beeches, which is, you know, outside London, not too far, but still quite, you know, quite in the countryside. The type of people that come, they're younger, and also they are people that are really escaping. They're really desperate to escape the busyness of the city. And I just noticed that all of them love saying how nice it is to be in silence and how much that is appreciated. So the difference in running events in a busier in the countryside, you'll have definitely less dogs, you'll have definitely less people. You'll have the occasional plane coming, because, you know, there's a lot of planes over the UK flying past, so that could be, you know, still loud. But in the city, when we do the sessions in Epping Forest, there's a road, so you can hear quite loud motorbikes. In Hampstead Heath, there are a lot of people and a lot of dogs, so I try to take the group where there are not many people walking. You still have the occasional dogs come in and surprise to give us a nice shock and surprise. Yes, the noise is quite strong also in Kew Gardens, because of there's a plane every 2 minutes, more or less, and that could be disruptive at the beginning, and that could be. But then that's what we do. We try and tell the participants not to focus to the noise, and to focus on the natural sounds. And actually that's a very successful exercise, and people really appreciate it. And I say, yes, I can do that. I'm able to focus more on the bird song or the leaves, rather than, you know, the cars that are at the background, or the planes. But of course, it's something that we need to be trained to do. It's not automatic. And I think also, you know, the difference is people living in London, so all the participants that come to the sessions in London, they love the smell as well. So we get away from the city smell. Because London can be a bit smelly, you know, with the fast food and the pollution. So I think it's so nice how these people, when they smell the soil, or they smell, like, finally there's something, a natural smell that is so good, it's so pleasant. And, you know, as we always say, if we don't like the smell, we don't want to smell anything. So in the woods, we just open our sense of smell. So that's wonderful. So it's not that different to have the sessions in London or outside London, because I think if you're able to immerse in nature, it doesn't really matter if you're in London. It doesn't really matter if the cars come, or the planes, or if you're just actually you can hear maybe the train passing by. But if people are really quite adjustable, and they can focus on that, which is lovely. I think anywhere in nature, even if it's in the city, is still very beneficial.
Absolutely. And we actually have studies done by Park-Based which show the benefits of spending time in nature in city parks. And there was a benefit to our health and well-being. And I feel that this is something that we actually discuss in our Instagram Live at some point, but there is a misconception that forest bathing or nature connection, it just has to be this pristine wild environment or nothing. But it's very impractical, because for many people it will be something unrealistic to go and travel every weekend or every other weekend even to ancient woodland. And so if we have a park, if we have a garden, it can still be so beneficial. And the thing is, for many of us, yes, it would be road noise and maybe airplanes and maybe people around if you are in a busy city. But I feel that if you are used to that, anyways, living in a city, it doesn't disturb you as much as if you are living in a countryside and then suddenly you get taken into an environment with lots of people. So it's just kind of the city vibe. But I feel that what's very important for us as an institute is to send a message that it doesn't have to be absolutely wild, pristine environment in the middle of nowhere for you to have a benefit. In fact, we talk about the nature pyramid, where we discuss how the frequency of visits to nature can be more important even than how long you spend time in nature. So for instance, if you only have a local park or maybe your little communal garden, if you can go there 20 minutes a day, every day, and then occasionally when you have time and opportunity to go to a wilder environment, maybe during school holidays if you're traveling as a family, or during summer people go camping sometimes, do take that opportunity. But I feel sometimes people too much emphasis on something that is impractical, and that actually stops them from connecting with nature. So in terms of that, I actually wanted to see your experience as a person who does live in a busy city. And if you could please share, I know that you've been, and I've been learning a lot from you in terms of how you connect with nature. Last year we spoke, you said you took your office outside and actually sat in the garden and taking in all this beautiful environment and benefits of being in nature just in your garden, which is genius because you can still work, you are doing your work, you don't have to put in extra time, but at the same time getting the benefits. But can you tell us a little bit more about whether you saw any changes in your health and well-being since you started connecting to nature in the city environment? What were these changes like, if they happened?
Yes, sure. Yes. So going back to the difference between the wild and the city, for me, I've always thought I wanted to go to Scotland or the woodlands where there's nobody. But now it doesn't really matter anymore. In fact, I had this incredible experience in one of the forest bathing sessions I attended in Richmond Park like 3 weeks ago, I think, a month ago. And it was not even far. The session was 3 hours long, but it was quite at the beginning. So maybe 45 minutes later. And we were doing our slow walking and observing the trees and looking at the beautiful surroundings. And all of a sudden I turned around and I saw the road with cyclists, cars, people. And it was incredible because it felt I was in a bubble. And there were like two parallel worlds, and I was in the best world. And that one was not there. It was like I didn't even notice. I saw it, but if I was so immersed in the beauty of nature that really that didn't even bother me. It was I never felt like that. Really, kind of, it's there, but it's not really there. So there was really powerful how I'm able now to detach from the crowds, the noise, the vibe, and I can fully be in nature. So of course that helps my well-being, because then I feel rejuvenated, and I feel energized, and I feel calmer. Definitely since I've been doing forest bathing, my hay fever is gone, my asthma is gone. I don't have colds anymore. I used to have colds all the time. I used to have sore throats all the time. Definitely sleep better, and I'm definitely more creative and more. I definitely have more energy, and it's for me. It's every day. I spend time in nature every single day. Alas, not in a woodland every day, but now that it's nearly summer, as you said, I take my computer in the garden, I sit under the umbrella, and basically I'm working, making phone calls, sending emails, and the birds are around, the squirrels, the leaves of the trees, and you have the little breeze, and maybe it's just I get distracted a little bit sometimes because I start looking at, the colors and, looking at maybe the flowers, how they move. But then it helps because then you're more focused to go back and work. So definitely, it really helped my my well-being, my health, physical health, but also somehow I managed to deal with stress better. I managed to just, of course, with the help of the breathing or the breathing work we did with that we learned in the first module with the meditation mindfulness. And obviously because everybody has, has issues and there's personal problems. And I'm able to cope better, definitely.
Thank you very much, Elisabetta. Yes, I think it's such a good point that, I feel another misconception we get is that anyone who practices mindfulness or forest bathing, they live somewhere in the middle of nowhere and they are completely calm without any worries of the normal life, but no one is immune. So we all have our challenges and day-to-day stresses, and sometimes some days are more difficult than others. And I feel when you said more stress resilience, I feel that's so true with me as well. It's for someone who has a busy mind, just not being too dragged by certain things, and being able to say, well, here I can just, I need to do this thing and I need to focus on this situation. But another time I look at something different and I say, well, here I can let go because, it doesn't concern me and story ended and that's it. And it does really help to prioritize, I feel. Nature kind of puts you in a very grounded perspective. And interestingly, you said about the distractions in nature when you were working on your computer, and I felt the same. Sometimes I do get a few distractions, but then I thought, well, I would get the same distractions whether I'm at home working or I'm outside. It's just our mind tends to have this nature of getting distracted, so it is natural and just bringing that attention back. But I definitely have seen a greater amount of creativity and less stress. It's like I can get done maybe twice as much work as I used to, just by being in that state of calm awareness and being able to think clearly and prioritize and let go of situations or things that I can't solve, or come back to them later with a fresher perspective. But I feel it's step by step. We're not saying that everyone should go outside and bring their computers out, but feeling a bit more with nature and seeing this as a default mode rather than being indoors or being apart from nature can really be helpful to heal that connection with nature, which I feel many of us have broken. And even things like now it's warmer. Some people like myself, I would camp outside. I live in a safe environment. I can do that. I'm not saying you should do it where you are, but maybe you can go to a safe place for a weekend, like wild camping, or maybe you can just take a book or take some of your tasks. I sometimes take a pen and a paper, and if I need to do something, I just sit under the tree where I feel safe. And things like this, think a bit more like, how can I make nature part of my life? It's a bit like in a relationship. If you want to see the friend whom you haven't seen in a long time, how can I make this happen? And that's the same with nature. And I feel over time, the more we do it, the more we get that connection, strengthen that connection, and the easier it becomes to then do things to the point where it becomes effortless and you get a lot of joy out of it. So thank you, Elisabetta, so much. And I just wanted to ask you the last question. Where can we find you? Can you give us a few details of where we can book your sessions? I know you are starting now to run sessions at Kew Gardens. You'll be leading a session soon. So maybe if you can give us a bit more details, as well as I've been to a wonderful session in Hampstead Heath, and I highly recommend. And Epping Forest, I hope to go one day, but this is another one that is a very beautiful location.
Yes, it's a lovely, lovely location. Yes, I'm doing my next forest bathing session is in Hampstead Heath on the 29th of May, and then Epping Forest 1st of June. I'm working this coming Friday in Kew Gardens, and I'm leading on the 15th of June. Then I have few dates from now until September that will be with the team. We're working in a team, so we're taking turns who's leading. So I'm going to be leading in June, July, and September, and then support all the dates. And then, yes, Hampstead Heath will be a monthly base, and and Epping Forest we have 1st of June and 13th of July. And I publicize my sessions on Instagram, on LinkedIn, Facebook. I don't have a website yet, but something on my to-do list that I should organize, maybe while I'm sitting in the garden working. And I try to be active on Instagram, and I love taking photographs. So I just will in my bio there are all the links of the where you can book. So the Eventbrite, and then the Institute and Kew Gardens. And yes, and I just like to add how lucky we are in London, because nature is actually more and more. And even in the new development now, I've noticed there are more planters with flowers, even in the King's Cross area. And I've recently been to the city, and in the city, go to the city, so you have the fantastic architecture of the buildings, the new, the old. And then you have the gardens. I went on a tour of the secret gardens in the city, which you don't think that in between buildings you have this fantastic, maybe a little birch garden. So you have birch trees, and then you have a lot of roof terraces as well that some of them you can visit. So you are on top of the city and you look down and you see how many green spaces there are on top of the building. So little garden and grass, wisteria. That's what I always did because of my love of nature. But even when I'm in central London and I'm going for a meeting or something else or an event, my eyes, they always go on where the tree is, where the flowers is. And London is great for that, because they love showing off. It's like, Chelsea Flower Show coming soon. So you have the containers with the flowers. You have, maybe a roundabout with, maybe you have some, the display of flowers. And always I notice they do a lot of plants that are good for the bees, for the pollinators. So the lots of Ibina. And of course, it's good to, when you're in the city, that your attention can go not only on the the taxi, the buses, and the traffic, but you can just take your focus in nature, and that's pleasant.
Yes, it's actually such an amazing point about, how lucky we are in London, because I think, and I read in Professor Ching Li's book, Shinrin Yoku, he was talking about the numbers of trees in London, and he calculated that the most of them, well, he didn't, he actually just showed the data, that most of them were in people's gardens. And I feel that in London, definitely, and after I've visited the meeting by Natural England with Gary in January, where we were talking about green social prescribing and other things, nature-connected projects in London, I saw a huge surge in interest in making places, making walks in relation to nature. So whether it would be putting some reminders to like stop and appreciate this little oasis of nature, or even putting sculptures that would provoke connection with nature or interest in nature, and making it more accessible to people who live there, but also to young people. And I've been to a few meetings in London, and same as you, I was always so impressed with even like small areas, such as maybe a little terrace on the balcony. You would still have something like running water, sometimes even trees, fully grown trees. And I felt, wow, this is, this is such an important thing to introduce nature in everyday life. And I feel companies and businesses can also help their employees and also their company effectively by boosting all of performance and creativity. And we know that nature also helps us stay fit and healthy. So by introducing even little gardens, even if it's on the balcony, on the top floor of a skyscraper, it could be incredible because I've been there and I've felt it. I sat there and I felt what a resource. And actually now we are working more this year, especially this summer, with corporates. And there are ways that forest bathing can help your company, even just by reducing stress indirectly, but directly by boosting that creativity. We have had incredible feedback from corporates that we've worked with, saying how it just helped change people's perspectives. And for fast-growing businesses, they're always looking for that edge and being able to look at the situation from a different perspective and gain that competitive advantage, which everyone loves, of course. So yeah, we hope to also offer these sessions in London, so that the companies can get there easier. Lots of companies are in London, but also maybe going into people's little gardens, the businesses' little gardens, and showing people how even with small things that you have outside of your building or at the top floor, the roof terrace, you can still in 10-15 minutes have such an immersive experience and a reboot, and your senses work differently, your mind works differently, your creativity is through the roof. And yeah, so this is something that actually Elisabetta and I will be talking about next week. So if you are interested, let us know and we can discuss these things. But thank you very much, Elisabetta, for your time. And we will pop in details of your social media so that everyone can reach you. And we hope that you enjoyed listening to this podcast, and stay tuned.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you for inviting me. Bye-bye.